rides and attractions have become a staple of the Disney parks. With classics like Big Thunder Mountain and Space Mountain, it's no wonder that a ride is the main highlight of the entire experience. But sometimes some rides don't age well and become something that Disney wishes to forget. So in today's video of Industrai, we'll be taking a look at some of the worst rides and attractions they have made. To start this list off, we'll need to go to the theme park where it all began, Disneyland.
Before our preview of Tomorrowland, I'd like to read these few words of dedication. A vista into a world of wondrous ideas, signifying man's achievement, a step into the future, with predictions of constructive things to come.
Now, Tomorrowland was home to a bunch of short-lived attractions, such as the View Liner Train of Tomorrow. But one that was even shorter was the Phantom Boats. You see, the Phantom Boats was a ride where you could drive the boats freely without any supervision. However, problems began because, for thrill seekers, the engines for the boats would usually overheat and causing to shut down and leaving guests stranded in the middle of the ocean. With this, the ride had to close due to a decline in popularity a year later, making it Disney's first ride they ever had to close, permanently.
When Disneyland opened in 1955, Tomorrowland, the world of the future, seemed more science fiction than actual fact. Even today's household word astronaut had not yet been coined.
However, to not give up on a boat ride for Disneyland, Disney decided to open the Fantasyland motorboat cruise. This ride, instead of the free-for-all with no supervision, this time it was on a track as you drive slowly past through the lakes. However, even though the attraction was popular for a little bit, in the 90s it would see a big decline. So, to make up for it, they decided to remake the motorboat cruise into a gummy bear themed attraction, based off the Gummy Bear Disney Channel show. However, guests were less than satisfied with this ride as it was a cheap overlay of the original motorboat cruise ride, which was true, as there was nothing really to see besides cardboard cutouts on the entire experience. And only after a couple years, in 1993, the ride was officially closed and never to see the light again. However, you can still find the dock of the boat intact and right there in Fantasyland, and is used for a picnic area. The Tiki Room is one of the most beloved attractions at the Disney parks. From its first incarnation opening in 1963 at Disneyland, it became one of the most popular rides at the time. So when Imagineers were designing Magic Kingdom, it was a no-brainer idea to add the Tiki Room into Magic Kingdom. However, instead of calling it the Tiki Room, it was called the Tropical Serenite. However, besides that, it was still the same show with also the regular pre-show.
Hi there, I'm, let's see now, it's right on the tip of my beak. Clyde Birdbrain? Oh yeah, I'm Clyde Birdbrain.
However, during the 90s, Imagineers wanted to change some things up with the Tiki Room. So, because the box office success The Aladdin and The Lion King, they decided to choose the two beloved bird characters and turning Tropical Serenite for the Tiki Room under new management. Now, to give you an idea of what this show would be like, basically, when you entered the Tiki Room, it would start out as normal as all the birds introduced each other. But then, between their first song, all of a sudden, Zany and Iago from Aladdin and The Lion King would appear to tell the birds that it is under new management. The rest of the show, I don't really want to get into, but to keep it short, we'll just say that guests were less than impressed of this ride, as it was discrimination to the original ride, as it ruined all the songs, with Zany and Yago would squawk and ruin the entire show.
These gods were the greatest act I've ever heard! This place is gonna be a gold mine! No more worries!
However, the ride would actually last 2 more decades between the 90s and the 2000s, which would become even more disliked. But in 2011, a fire happened in between one of the shows that ruined one of the animatronics. And because Disney Imagineers didn't want to rebuild this attraction, along with guest dislike, in 2011, the ride would officially close to finally make way for the original Enchanted Tiki room. However, the Tiki Goddess animatronic would actually make its way into one of the restaurants at the Disney's Polynesian Village Resort.
Welcome to the kingdom of animals, real, ancient, and imagined. A kingdom ruled by lions, dinosaurs, and dragons.
Another very short-lived attraction can be found at Animal Kingdom. This attraction was originally supposed to be part of the now defunct Beastly Kingdom. You see, Animal Kingdom was originally supposed to be home to 3 parts: present, imagined, and past. For the present, they would have the Kilimanjaro Safari, and for the past, they would have Dinosaur USA. However, for the imagined, there would be this land called Beastly Kingdom, where on one side would be home to the dragons, where a dragon coaster can be found, and the other side would be home to unicorns, where you can find a unicorn maze. Now, due to budget cuts, Disney Imagineers were not able to build this right away. But because Disney so thought that this would become a reality, it was heavily promoted, and even in the park itself, because on opening day, an attraction you can find is called Discovery Riverboats. And just to let you know, this would last on for 20 whole minutes. The Discovery Riverboats was a ride where it would take you across the other side of the park. However, the riverboats wasn't really a ride, it was instead a transportation, and a lot of guests complained because how boring the ride was. There were a couple exceptions, like the dinosaur animatronic, along with some other elements you can see on the ride, but then again, it was pretty boring. After Beastly Kingdom never became a reality, less than a year after Animal Kingdom opened, the Discovery Riverboats were officially closed. And with this, there are a bunch of traces left over from the ride, but we can get into them in a later video when we go into more deeper details of Beastly Kingdom. Now on this list, I've talked about some really bad rides on this video, but it's time to talk about the worst ride that Disney has ever made, and that would be Superstar Limbo. In 1999, when the concept for a second theme park at Disneyland Anaheim, one of the lands would be called Hollywoodland and feature a ride called Superstar Limbo. This ride originally was supposed to be a thrilling experience with a bunch of Hollywood gags. However, due to the death of Princess Diana, Disney thought that Superstar Limbo was recreating her death. So the entire ride was reworked into a slow-moving dark ride as you tried to get to the Chinese theater. However, when the park and ride opened, guests were less than thrilled of the attraction of how cheap and lazy it was. And the fact that it would be crammed full of celebrities, which these celebrities don't make any sense, and the reason why they were chosen is mainly because they were associated with Disney. The attraction was so bad, and in less than a year, it closed to never be reopened again. And there were concepts of reopening the ride, like Goofy Superstar Limbo, or even a Muppet version, but eventually Disney decided to not return Superstar Limbo. And in 2006, the ride would turn into Mike and Sully's To the Rescue. However, what I think is the most creepy about this ride is how all the animatronic celebrities are still in the ride today, and I don't think will be removed anytime soon. So, yeah, it was a pretty bad ride. So if you ever have felt that the attraction you just ride wasn't good enough, well, make sure you look back on these rides, as I bet you that they were definitely probably way worse than whatever you experienced. So, yeah, just remember that. See you later, guys.